GBC24 and GTV, this is News Hour. My name is Shirley Annan.
And I'm Selike Makolasha Palumini. Thanks for joining us. In our very first story, President Akuffo Addo has responded to public criticism on the appointment of 110 ministers and deputy ministers of state to help in his administration. In an interview with GTV's Abdulhai Mumin, the president explained that the problems facing the country with the persistent decline in agriculture, low growth rate, major issues of corruption and leakage of revenue demanded bold and ambitious measures to address them.
Mixed reactions greeted the number of appointees in the current government, especially when President Akuffo Addo named 110 ministers and deputy ministers of state. The debate has been trending on both social media and traditional media platforms. Many have argued that by these appointments, the president will put more burden on the public purse. In a reaction to these criticisms, the president reiterated that his agenda is to protect the public purse and indicated that his appointees will always work in the interest of the public.
You have said that you inherited a debt of 2.4 billion. And then you also inherited...
Instead of 2.4 billion debt overhang in the energy sector.
In the energy sector alone.
The energy sector alone.
So the debt is more than 2.4 billion put together.
122 billion.
That's huge.
It's huge.
So I'm looking at, again, you mentioned the fact that you also inherited revenue sources that were leaking. Now, having said all these things, and considering the fact that and I've seen figures being peddled around, that your ministers are going to consume as much as 20 million Ghana cedis every year. Where are we going to get the money from, considering the fact that the purse is leaking?
I'm not quite sure that those figures are even accurate. But the point that I'm trying to make is this. You have a problem. What is the best way of dealing with the problem? My view is that our country is better served by having on board in the executive men and women who are capable of working to reverse the situation. Because for me, the most important thing that I can do for the Ghanaian people, apart from the institutional issues to do with corruption and how we can plug the hole and leakages, is to grow our economy. If we can grow our economy, the investment involved is something like, assuming that your figure is even right, contested, but assuming, will be a little drop in the ocean. And it will be seen as having been a necessary investment to make.
There's also the fear that by some of your appointments, you appear to be creating a parallel civil service, where some of the civil service organizations which are already in existence will become redundant, so to speak.
I don't see it. What I know,
like the Public Procurement Authority, for instance. Now there is a Public Procurement Minister.
There's a Public Procurement Minister who's going to work from the office of the President, not as the one regulating or implementing the process of public procurement, far from it, but as a minister in my office who is going to have an eagle eye on that process. All of us know the tremendous challenges that the system of public procurement in our country has had in these last 5-6 years. Huge contracts, many of them very questionable sole sourcing. I wanted a minister here, somebody familiar with the process of public procurement, whose duty will be to keep me fully engaged all the time in what is going on.
On the issue of the sustainability of the free senior high school program, the president said all the necessary arrangements needed to make it a success have already been thought through.
Unfortunately, at this stage in our history, the numbers of people who should have access to education, but because of money cannot, are much more than those who are able to enter the system. And we want to be able to assemble the Ghanaian human capital in all its diversity and multiplicity so that we can really make a good fist about growing our country and setting it on.
I'm sorry if I sound repetitive, but the question still is, where is the money going to come from?
Coming from the budget.
The same budget you refer to, Your Excellency, has reduced taxes on importation of spare parts, on airline tickets, and so on and so forth.
It's coming from the consolidated fund. That's exactly where it's coming from. And the consolidated fund that's going to grow, not shrink, because of the measures we've taken over taxes, the measures that we've taken to remove what is now gone into the political lexicon as the nuisance taxes. What you have to get your mind around is that we are staking the fortunes of our government on the simple principle that if we can provide the stimulus that would allow the private sector to grow, that was the way we can create prosperity, we can create jobs, and we can create higher and higher income levels.
The interview touched on a wide range of issues, including the state of the economy, the appointment of an independent prosecutor, and missing state vehicles. Abdulhai Mumin, GBC24, Accra.
And staying with the seat of government, the chairman of the Executive Assets Subcommittee of the Transitional Team, Mr. Akuffo Addo, says the government cannot account for 234 vehicles handed over by the previous government. The Mahama-led administration left a list of 707 vehicles during the transition period. But Mr. Akuffo Addo says over 200 cars are still missing after the final assessment. At a media briefing here in Accra, Mr. Akuffo Addo proposed an asset management register to record all state vehicles for accountability.
The chairman of the Executive Assets Subcommittee of the Transition Team, Mr. Akuffo Addo, gave a breakdown of the vehicles.
The first time they gave us a list, they said it was not accurate, so we shouldn't use it. The reason being that, in view of government's policy, that where an official uses a car for more than 2 years, they could apply to buy it. That policy was still in existence, and that they were not sure whether the list they had given us did not include those ones. So we should not use that list. So we held on, and they gave us a fresh list with the understanding that those who have bought vehicles, all those vehicles had been taken out of that list. The breakdown or the total number of the vehicles came to 707. 707. Breakdown as follows. V8, 176. Prados, Toyota, 63. And others, saloon bars, ambulances, whatever, 468. Now, what we realized was that some of the ministers did not return their vehicles. And whilst we were engaging the old government officials, especially Mr. Colonel Mante, the military attaché to the chief of staff, he told me and my team that he had ordered them, all ministers, to come and park the vehicles at their last cabinet meeting. They should bring those vehicles, use other cars. And so as far as is concerned, the vehicles had been brought. We went only to find that the vehicles were not there, and that some of them said that they were working up to the 6th of January. So after 6th January, they left the vehicles at the ministries.
He said 67 of the vehicles were not listed.
Out of the 707, the ones were able to mark to say that we have found them are as follows. V8 101, Prados 36, others 269. From the 707, The vehicles that we could not find, what we call missing vehicles, came down to 301. And the breakdown will be as follows. V8 75, Prado 27, others, Saloon Bus 199. We were able to identify 67 vehicles not listed. They were not listed, but we were able to identify them. That came to 67. So if you deduct the 67 vehicles from the 301 missing vehicles, we still have 234 vehicles which could not be accounted for. So the figure that came out from Mr. Ayin's office, that is over 200, is correct. And if they want me as the chair to confirm, I'm confirming. And I'm saying that the figure was over 200. If we take away the 67 that we ourselves identified, take that out of the 301, the missing vehicles will be 234 vehicles. They are yet to be accounted for. And this is from a list that they supplied from the office of the president.
Mr. Akuffo said, although the 67 vehicles have been retrieved, 234 vehicles have still not been traced. He said the chassis numbers of the missing vehicles will be sent to the DVLA to prevent those in possession of the vehicles from registering them.
The Vice President Dr Mahamadu Bawumia has given the clearest indication yet that the government will not tolerate illegal mining in Ghana. Speaking at the Natural Capital Accounting Conference in Accra, Dr Bawumia said if steps are not taken, the sources of water supply would have been polluted. He said lack of political will has exacerbated the situation, but the government will soon develop a blueprint that would address the Galamsey menace in the country.
According to the World Bank, wealth accounting are needed to sustain growth. Natural capital accounting is the process of calculating the total stocks and flows of natural resources and services in a given ecosystem. Experts say accounting for such goods inform what decision is to be taken on exploitation of natural resources for development. However, in Ghana, Galamsey has become a major challenge to extraction of these capital resources. The activities of Galamsey operators have resulted in farmlands being destroyed and several water bodies polluted. According to the Ghana Water Company, the activities of Galamsey around water bodies increased the cost of treated water supply. Recently, the company had to shut down water supply to Sunyai due to pollution of water bodies in the area. This situation is common in many other towns in the country. Speaking at the conference, Vice President Dr Mahamadu Bawumia said Ghana cannot continue on that tangent. Otherwise, the whole nation could be plunged in a major water crisis.
The scourge of Galamsey is something that we are all witnesses to. It's very disturbing, very, very disturbing. If you go across the country and look at what is happening to our water bodies, they are rare, essentially, in many places. You just look at the color. Water treatment plants, as was mentioned earlier, have been shut down in a few places because of the pollutants in the water and the impact of Galamsey. This is not something that as a country we should take lightly. The water shortages that we are seeing across this country, is very much linked to environmental degradation and the scale of Galamsey and illegal small-scale mining in the vicinity of many water bodies in this country.
He said the government will develop the right policies to tackle the problem.
The president has instituted a major request that we come up with a policy paper. Some experts are currently working on this, specifically on Galamsey. It will have to take a lot of political will to deal with this, but it has to be dealt with. because the damage is going to be irreparable if we leave it as it is. So in the next few weeks, I think you will see, I'm not preempting them, you will see announced some major policies on dealing with the menace that the Galamsey activities are posing in this country. So we expect some move, there is the political will to deal with this matter, even though you will have a lot of interest groups normally and sometimes powerful interest groups behind these activities. But we as a country have to take the bull by the horns and do what is right for our environment and for our people.
Dr. Bawumia said government will not extract natural resources to grow GDP at the expense of the environment and water bodies. He therefore called for the inclusion of all major players in the natural resources sector so the natural capital accounting is properly done for future generations.
Move over to the floor of Parliament, where members have condemned the suspension of the school feeding program in the Ejura-Seche-Dumasi constituency of the Ashanti region. This was as a result of an impasse between a section of the youth and caterers. The lawmakers are advising Ghanaians to help social interventions in the country work rather than destroy them.
The school feeding program started in 2005. It has contributed and influenced the enrollment of children in schools, especially in deprived communities. Despite challenges which include the quality of food and lack of financial support, the social intervention program until now continued to provide meals to over 1.6 million school children in basic schools. In the Ejura-Seche-Dumasi constituency, the program is of immense benefit to over 14,000 children at the basic level, but now the program has been suspended. According to some members of parliament, the interruption of the program is similar to the seizure of public institutions whenever there is a change in government.
Mr. Speaker, I am reliably informed that the decision of the suspension of this program is as a result of an impasse between the caterers and some youth in the constituency. This unfortunate development, if not addressed immediately, may affect the purpose of the program and eventually affect the quality of education delivery to the peoples of Ejura-Seche-Dumasi.
As a country, must look at the benefits that our children are getting out of this program. And we should not at any time try to bring politics into it. If a caterer is not living up to expectation, if a caterer is not doing his work as he or she is supposed to do, then we can bring cases against the caterer and go through the proper procedures to get the caterer out.
It is really, really sad to hear this morning that a staggering number of 14,782 peoples, as we speak, are not being fed because of an impasse between the youth of that constituency and the caterers. We need to take partisanship out of important national programs, such as the school feeding program.
The politicization did not start from January 17th. It started in 2005 when the whole program started. And then into 2009, the subsidiary administration decided to remove all the caterers. That was what was done. And today, history is repeating itself. Because people feel that if I was doing it and you came and sacked me, I should come and assume my rightful place. Can we as a nation continue on that path?
We appeal to both parties, the majority and minorities, to educate their members to accept the school feeding program as a national program and a holistic approach to ensure that we serve our children, whom most of them are suffering from malnutrition.
The time has come for us as a nation to take a critical look at what we do as adults and how it affects our children. We, the adults
who do the politics must be very responsible to the extent that we must not allow any action, regardless of what political party, to affect our children. Mr. Speaker, the other issue is delays in their payment. When these contracts are executed, the women will borrow money. It takes them a longer period for government to be able to reimburse them and to pay them for the services rendered. And even sometimes, there are huge arrears even outstanding, as we probably will see. It is for us in condemning the past to make a common resolve that the future should be open to all persons, all women. We also must take on board the request of many other schools who want to be part of this opportunity.
The members also recognized the importance of the chieftaincy institution. They were of common view that chiefs are respected personalities and should not be influenced to engage in partisan politics. Sitting continues on Monday, the 20th of March, 2017.
Over 1,000 women smallholder farmers, producers and processors in the Upper East region have appealed to government for access to credit facilities from the Microfinance and Small Loans Center MASLOC. The women say the loans will enable them to improve upon agricultural production. Statistics indicate that 70% of the population in the Upper East region are farmers, out of which 40% are women. However, these smallholder farmers lack the capacity to improve production due to lack of credit facilities. Some farmers also lack access to agricultural technology and the markets for their produce. The women's group, made up of smallholder farmers, producers and processors, are therefore appealing to government to assist them to have access to credit facilities to improve production. The request was contained in a communique presented to the Upper East Regional Minister through the Regional Coordinating Council. The Upper East Regional Minister, Mr. Roxin Bukari, said government has outlined measures aimed at empowering women, especially in the agriculture sector.
Establishment of one factory in every district will assist smallholder farmers to engage in agro-processing, improve the value chain and create jobs in districts and the country as a whole. Women will be specially targeted.
The Upper East Regional Program Manager of Action Aid Ghana, Suleimana Hassan, said his organization under the Action for Global Justice Program aims to reduce the numerous challenges facing farmers in the region.
Of quality data to assess the performance of district assemblies in Ghana is reported to be hampering development in the countryside. It is against this backdrop that the Center for Democratic Development Ghana and UNICEF have launched the Central Regional District League Table 2016 to guide local authorities with experience from hindsight.
The District League Table is a simple ranking tool for Ghana's 216 districts, while district assemblies are assessed for their compliance against administrative and statutory obligations. The District League Table focuses on actual progress which impacts public welfare. Speaking at the meeting, the Central Regional Minister, Kwame Duncan, expressed the hope that the assemblies and agencies will do more in terms of providing economic and social amenities and services to the people. Speaking to GBC24, the research officer of the Center for Democratic Development CDD Ghana, Awal Mohammed, noted that the data even become more useful in the choices that are made in district budgetary allocations. According to him, the data will ensure improvement in sanitation, water, health, education and security.
You're live and this is News Hour. We'll take a quick break and return shortly.
Business will be next.
It's Friday. Before we go for that weekend, let's get update from the world of business. Now, Cocoa Life, Mondelex International, an American multinational confectionery, is supporting cocoa farmers to improve their yields. 39 community extension agents from 5 regions have received laptops for data collection, measurement of program process and performance.
As a chocolate manufacturer with over 100 years presence in Ghana, Cocoa Life operates in Côte d'Ivoire, India, Indonesia, Brazil and the Dominican Republic. Its vision is to empower and support farmers to improve their yields and livelihoods. This Mondelez International believes will help cocoa farmers earn income and reduce poverty. While women in cocoa growing communities are empowered, Mondelez also works towards eliminating child labor by helping communities tackle its root causes. Mondelez International Cocoa Life program works in partnership with a number of government and non-governmental organizations. These are Cocoa Health and Extension Division, Seed Production Division and Cocoa Research Institute of Ghana, all under the Ghana Cocoa Board. Aside the motorcycles, protective clothes and other equipment provided to the community extension agents, Mondelez has given out laptops to each of the 39. The country lead of Mondelez International Cocoa Life, Mrs. Yape Prajamai Ambekuji, says the role of the community extension agents are critical in the production of quality cocoa beans, hence the provision of laptops for data collection and accountability of funds.
In the past, they were collecting data, but they were relying on third parties to use their laptops, because in every district we have a farmers cooperative union, and the farmer cooperative union has a computer, so they will have to go and use this. But these are extension agents who work outside the district capitals. They are in the interior, in the cocoa communities, very far from the district capitals. So imagine they take their motorbikes to their communities, then they have to come back to the district to be able to collect, to be able to key in their data and send to us. It's not all the communities that have network, but fortunately for us, for every CA in his or her group of communities or cluster of communities, there are 2 or 3 communities that have network, so they can hook onto the internet. So that it's like in real time, when they collect the data, they'll be able to send the data to us. And it's very critical for us to have the data.
Beneficiaries are from the Ashanti, Eastern, Western, Central and Gunahafu regions. A community extension agent from the Amansia West district in the Ashanti region, Mr. Asante Lopez, on behalf of his colleagues, thanked Mondelez for the gesture and promised to put the laptops to good use.
Data collection is one of the things that we are doing, which without a laptop, we find it very difficult. And I think it has come at the right time, more especially when there is more pressure on us concerning data or biodata collection from farmers.
Mrs. Yape Prajamai Ambekuji is optimistic that cocoa production in Ghana will surely exceed the 1 million ton target, and Mondelez will soon provide farmers with fertilizers and farming equipments to boost their yields.
And still in business, Nestle Food and Beverages Company is celebrating its 60 years in Ghana. The Minister for Trade and Industry, Mr. Alan Chamantin, said partnering the private sector is key in achieving economic success.
Nestle began operations in Ghana in 1957 by trading and distributing its products in Central and West Africa. In 1959, the company built its Nescafe factory in Côte d'Ivoire and later expanded its operations to Senegal, Cameroon and Nigeria. Today, Nestle employs nearly 40,000 people and operates in over 197 countries, including the Central and West African region. Nestle's infrastructure development in Ghana actually started in 1970 when the company built its first factory at Tema under the name Food Specialties. This name, however, was changed from Food Specialties to Nestle Ghana in 1987. The company has grown from strength to strength over the years with innovative and attractive products and is proud to be celebrating 60 years of operations in Ghana. The managing director of Nestle Ghana, Mrs. Frida Duplan, said their strategy for the next years is to focus on delivering quality products that will meet the changing demands of Ghanaians.
What is the biggest challenge is ensuring we get good quality raw and packaging material. Some of our raw materials and packaging materials are imported and some are local. Sometimes it's a challenge to get the right quality, so we need to support at the back end, which is what we've done with the cereals plan, with the cocoa plan and all of that. So if this sort of exercise continues, not only by us but by government, and as I said also in my speech, we signed an MOU with USAID last year to continue with the train the trainer through the farmers, for the farmers to basically harvest properly, the cereals. I think that will go a long way, and I believe that is one of the things that going forward has to be a continuous exercise.
The Minister of Trade and Industry, Mr. Alan Tremantin, said Nestle's performance has given the government every reason to create the right environment to enable global companies like Nestle to compete with other global companies.
Unless there's a policy landscape which enhances the competitiveness of companies, it's not possible even for global companies like Nestle to grow, let alone the smaller ones that are starting, as local companies. And I think that is the responsibility of government to support the private sector in enhancing their technical expertise and competence. The other is providing support in terms of marketing, distribution, because let's face it, as a government, what we are interested is in creating jobs. So whatever it takes for us to support a company to be able to survive so that they can expand their production and create jobs, that's what we are looking for.
After 60 years of operations in Ghana, Nestle has produced a number of nutritious products such as Milo, Cerelac, Nescafe, Nido, Chocolim, Milo Nutrifil, Cremora and KitKat. According to them, since consumer taste keeps on changing, they will continue to diversify to meet the changing tastes of its customers.
Promasido Ghana, producers of Onga food seasoning, has unveiled a logo for the Onga Longest First Table. The event, which will feed up to about 3,000 people, is expected to break the previous world record of 1,508 held by Saudi Arabia in the Guinness Book of Records.
Ghana Limited has been operating on the Ghanaian food market since 1998 as a seasoning and beverage company. The company produces a variety of products including cowbell milk, Onga, Mixi and other quality products. The Onga Longest First Table event, the first of its kind in Ghana, is as a way of giving back to society. This year's event, which is set to feed about 3,000 people, will be entered in the Guinness Book of Records as the world's longest food table, beating Saudi Arabia's record of 1,508 people. The Marketing and Sales Director of Promasido Ghana, Timo Von Vosch, gave more details on the event.
We became recently market leader in Ghana and we wanted to celebrate that. The tablets exist more than 10 years now here in Ghana, together with the powders, and we wanted to celebrate that. So we were looking at an innovative and interactive way where we could give back to our consumers who made us great. How can we celebrate that? And that's when we came up with the World Record ID. Next to celebrating the brand, we also want to put Ghana on the map. We're extremely proud that the product is made in Ghana and that we give huge job opportunities to Ghanaians. And what better to do, celebrate that with 3,000 people together on this massive, huge, big table on Independence Square.
A brand's manager and ambassador of Onga, Emlyn Tego, said 300 children from selected orphanages across the country will participate in the event.
Whose own taste better. So we thought, we are serving jollof on that day to 3,000 plus people including children from orphanage. Onga makes your jollof taste better.
The managing director of Promasidor Ghana Limited, Dirk Leefmans, said Onga has become a lead seasoning brand on the Ghanaian market and will continue to maintain its quality standard.
Promasidor, in general, is extremely committed to Ghana. We are not stopping our investments. We have continuously grown, and we are planning to grow in the coming years ahead. We are building a brand new state-of-the-art factory where we will produce more Onga tablets, proudly made in our country, proudly made in Ghana, where we have other lines for future. I cannot say a lot about this, but we will have other products coming up from 2017-2018.
The Onga Longest Festival event is scheduled for 25th of March at the Independence Square.
Still business live on GBC24. We go over to the interbank market where the pound is selling at 5 cedis 63 pesos, the US dollar at 4 cedis 55 pesos, and the euro going for 4 cedis 89 pesos. News hour continues after this break. Stay.
Now to some health news. The National Tuberculosis Program is targeting 2035 as time it would have drastically reduced TB cases. At a pre-launch of World TB Day, the head of National TB Program, Dr. Frank Adai-Bonsu, said the TB intervention program hopes to bring down the numbers through regular sensitization programs.
TB primarily affects the lungs, but it can also affect organs in the central nervous system, including lymphatic and circulatory systems. Tuberculosis spreads by droplet infection. You are at risk of catching TB if you inhale or come into contact with fluids of an infected person. When a patient exhales, coughs or sneezes, tiny droplets of fluid are released into the air, and this is what must be avoided. TB is not passed on by contact with a person's clothing, bed linens or dishes, and cooking utensils. When a person is infected with TB, the bacteria in the lungs multiply, causing pneumonia. The patient experiences chest pains, persistent coughs, and sputum laced with blood. In addition, lymph nodes near the heart and lungs become enlarged. At the pre-launch of the World TB Day, TB Ambassador Ehunabobrim Pra Ajinsim Deceived said, like all other sicknesses, TB can be eradicated. He urged media personnel to lend a hand in sensitizing the public on the disease.
TB elimination is a possibility and can only happen if we inject in us the responsibility of making it happen. If you leave this room and we have even one person who is going to dedicate his or her life to report objectively, purposely,
on the elimination of tuberculosis, we would have gone a long way into eliminating disease.
According to the director of the National TB Control Program, Dr. Frank Adaibonso, the main issue about TB is stigmatization.
In Ghana, our main issue is stigma, which is fighting against TB. We have all what it takes to control TB in this country. The coverage, though not very high, but it's still good enough to help contain the epidemic. But people are not utilizing the service because of lack of knowledge or because of ignorance.
He added that by 2035, the TB control program would have worked to reduce the number of TB cases in the country to the barest minimum.
TB, I told you, is very, very old like Adam. And if we are to accelerate the elimination, then everybody has to be on board. And we need to change the way we do things. Our attitude, our commitment, the prioritization of our resources, all must be changed. Then we can actually even eliminate it before the 2035. And we have the capacity to do that.
Early signs of the disease includes coughing for more than 2 weeks, coughing up blood, sudden loss of weight and appetite, sweating at night and tightness of the chest. Health experts say TB is curable if early medical attention is sought. World TB Day is celebrated on March 24, and the theme selected for this year's celebration is Unite to End TB.
Hello, good evening. Let's talk sports. I'm Theophilus Sampa. The 2016-2017 edition of the MTN FA Cup has been launched in Accra. The preliminary stages of the competition are set to roll out from March 22 to 26. A draw was held in Accra on Thursday, involving clubs from the Division 2 and 48 Division 1 clubs before they are joined by Premier League clubs later in the competition. All the teams in the preliminary stages would receive 600 Ghana cedis, while MTN airtime would only be given to teams that will qualify from the preliminary stage. The participating teams have been zoned according to their various regions for the preliminary round of the competition. The Division 1 league clubs will also play in the regions from where they are located. Here are some reactions from officials at the launch.
The MTN FA Cup is unique because for many years, we've never had the champion being able to successfully defend the trophy. This year, the FA Cup committee and the FA intend to even reward our clubs more. I'm sure in due season, we will make public the full package that each club would be earning. But what I can say for a fact is that this year, beginning from this very first round, clubs will earn money.
For start time, there is absolutely the need for the key stakeholders of Ghana football to take a second hard look at football development in Ghana and rethink a new mechanism with a goal of infusing a new dynamism to move our football industry forward. The fact is, as a developing country, Ghana's sporting infrastructure is relatively underdeveloped.
As we launch the 2016-2017 edition, it's our hope that we can discover even more talent to add to the pool of football stars we've recorded over the years. Ghana is a football-loving nation. We love football to the core.
The pairings for the preliminary round of this year's competition will be staged in the Greater Accra, Eastern Region, Bona Ahafo, Upper West, Upper East, and Northern regions, and the Ashanti region. So for sports.
Entertainment and arts. Comedy in Ghana has taken a different turn with the introduction of comic songs. Comedian Clemento Suarez is at the forefront of making comic songs popular to Ghanaians. His main medium of pushing his genre of comedy is via social media.
Why you late? My last one. Why you late? Bejabe, me. Why you late? Say major good morning. Why you late? Oh my name why you late? My last one. Hey, why you late? You fast, why you late?
Clemento Suarez explains the sudden fall of comedy in the country.
Getting to the end of last year, it came down because of politics. Yeah, we're in the election era, and so people had to slow down and be careful what to say, because sometimes you do political jokes and you might offend somebody. Yeah, so that's why I think stand-up comedy came down a bit.
He explained the need for this new trend of comedy.
I'm an all-rounder, but I don't want to be everywhere. So I stick to skits and then stage plays. Yeah, so when people have their plays and they think it's not that comical,
they need a laughter, they come for you.
Social media is by far the only platform in the rise of comic songs.
It's a bit difficult getting into the traditional media. So since social media is free, yes,
and has a wider range. Okay,
so just utilize it.
From the ratings on social media, it looks like comic songs are here to stay.
And that's all in the hour. Stay with us for the weather update. And of course, many thanks for staying with us during this hour of news. My name is Selikema Kolachi Apalo. I've been here with...
I am Shirley, and our news tonight is at 10 p.m. Please make a date.